Okay, welcome to the first of my Madame Thanatas Tarotstrology. We're going to do just a quickie video for all signs and all persons of an overview of this upcoming Mercury Retrograde from October 30th, just before Halloween, to November 20th, 2019, with the pre-shadow and post-shadow of up to 2 weeks before and after. And this will be kind of a complementary video to the individual sign videos that I'm going to do after this. So make sure that you check this one out. And first, what we're going to start with, what you need to know, is that this Mercury retrograde is going to be in the 4th house. So it will be affecting us in things like mother areas, things like that. This High Priestess represents much of the 4th house and much to do with the moon, as we see with her moon there. And because it is ruled by the moon, we have our moon card and our primary Cancerian champion, the King of Cups. And what this means is that this Mercury retrograde and stuff is going to affect this primary area of our lives. Now, if you think of each house in astrology as kind of like a room in an actual house, this would be the kitchen. This is where we often do we get our nourishment and we get our socializations, often where you find both mom and dad. And it's also a lot to do with things that are kept in our subconscious, oftentimes that are either confusing at first that we figure out later, or things that are in our shadow selves. Which is going to be very fitting. I'm going to leave these cards underlying, since they are our underlying thing going on here with everything being in the 4th house. The next thing that you need to know is that along with Mercury, we're seeing that the Sun is also going to be in Scorpio. And that brings in these two elements of our Queen of Wands and Sun cards, so there's definitely more feminine stuff going on. And because it is also associated with Scorpio, I'm throwing in the Judgment card. And because the Sun is it's both our soul path, and it has to do with ego and identity and things like that. And it really fits in tune with what's going on with this Mercury retrograde. In conjunct with that, which means that they're sharing the same house besides the Sun, we're also seeing Venus. And that's primarily going to be represented by the Empress, which is, very feminine, very abundance-based, but also a little bit lazy. But there's a lot of artistic energy and things like that, and also a lot of choices. And this is not just from Venus being in Scorpio and in the 4th house, but also just having come out of Libra, which will happen between the 20th and 23rd of October. In addition to that, we are also seeing Mars in the 4th house and in Scorpio. And traditionally, Mars is represented by the Tower, action, destruction, things like that, very warrior energy, and is also generally represented by the Emperor card, which is also Aries card, and also associated with Mars. So in that, we kind of have a mixture of our mother energy and father energy, and a number of choices in the middle, but we're already seeing a great deal of feminine energy going on in here, a lot of emotional energy going on, and a lot of subconscious things going on. Which brings us right down to our main entree, which is that we have Mercury, which is usually represented by the Magician, which is also Virgo's card, and the Lovers, which is Gemini's card, and both which are primarily ruled by Mercury. And they are both going to be in Scorpio, which is generally represented by the Death card, which, remember, is not typically about actual death. It is about transformation, big transformation, and the Queen of Cups, who is definitely a big mother figure, and as you'll see in a few minutes, will really affect how this Mercury retrograde will go. Now, as you can see, with that kind of bigger picture stuff going on in the background here, we've got our 4th house, we've got the Sun, Venus, and Mars all in the 4th house along with Mercury, and most all of them also being in Scorpio. So we've got some big time Scorpio energy, and to be honest, like, this is all what's going on right now as we're in the pre-shadow. We're actually coming from Mercury direct in Scorpio, going into Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, and then leaving and coming back out of Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, with us then entering into Mercury direct Sagittarius, where, like, at the end of things, we're really going to be rearranging our environment. But until then, we're going through, like, these really transformative energies, and I know from talking with many of you that you're already really feeling this one. There's a lot of things that are ending and beginning, and a lot of it is having to do with relationship areas, or things to do with business and your personal identity and ability to make things work. Now, this, if you think of this as right now what we're going on with, like, this is a lot of, like, positive transformation, and with the Death card in particular, especially upright, you're looking at, there is always a, you know, a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a little different than if we just had the Tarot, which is kind of just destruction, whereas the Death card is transformation. So there's always doors that are opened at the end after the other windows and doors are closed. Now, what happens effectively in tarot language when we hit a Mercury retrograde is that you take Mercury and you put him backwards, okay? So we're going to have all these energies on top of what is also conjunct, which means sharing the same house. So all of this Venus and Sun and Mars energy, so we've got our soul and ego, our desires for love and beauty, and our warrior side, and a little more ego mix. So we got lots of ego in there. Even, you know, if you think of Aphrodite, it's very ego mixed. You can see a lot of yellow in here, which is all indicating of ego challenges. And as if, you know, like, a lot of this stuff is already to do with our shadow selves, and Mercury retrograde in particular is meant to take you back and look at the things that you've been shoving into your shadow area and bring them out and deal with them. But if you add that on top of that, we've got the Moon card and the High Priestess and Mr. Water himself, like, we're, like, getting hit with a triple whammy of that stuff. And as you can even see here, you know, in this zone, you've got the King and Queen of Cups. Now, it's very, I want you to really pay attention to this, though, because this is going to be an important one. When Mercury goes retrograde, and we're already feeling this, the Queen of Cups is going to be reversed. Now, we can see that the King of Cups is not reversed, and what that generally tends to indicate, especially when we also get a Lovers reversed, is that we are going to see relationship challenges, relationship transformations, and things, you know, not just love transformations with our Gemini Mercury, but also, you know, business transformations, our ability to manifest things. You know, if you're really into law of attraction, this is a big one on that. It's really going to stop you and turn you around and have you look not only at this stuff, you know, how are you transforming your life? What are your relationships like? Family, love, all of that. And we've got 3 people involved in this. And on top of that, you know, we've got 3 elements there. You're also having this Venus energy of the Seven of Cups, which is not just choices, but the difficulty in choosing between all of these choices. But regardless, at the end, I mean, between Mars and Scorpio, you're going to have to choose. And we have some other elements going on that I didn't have enough room to put cards in. You know, our Saturn is in Capricorn, and Jupiter is also going to be coming into Scorpio fairly quickly after this. That's your karma and your expansions and things like that. So whatever is going to, however this is going to play out for you, you've got a lot of choices to make. You're not going to be able to get all of the answers. At the end of it, you're definitely going to be transformed. I mean, between the Death and the Tarot, or the Death and the Tower, there is going to be transformation happening. Then on top of that, you're going to follow that up with all this coming right back upright when we go direct again. Now, One thing that I want to make sure that you're aware of is that with this Queen of Cups in play, when she is upright, she is like one of the most compassionate people ever. And she definitely does not lose that when she goes reversed, but it is certainly, it's kind of like having an time of the month, extended moon time, if you will, to where there's going to be either some women in your life or some feminine aspects in yourself or someone that either you normally have a good relationship with them or you don't normally have a good relationship and you tend to avoid them, but somebody in there who is really going to be playing this role of judgment, which is another Scorpio element here in our sun place. And typically, the Queen of Cups in reverse is a very unpredictable, very emotional woman who is feeling very put upon, very hurt, or like she's not being treated like the queen that she is. And even though in her upright stage she's very compassionate and loving and all about the community, she does have her own shadow aspects, as she often does not take time to care for herself. She often does feel fairly entitled to things, and she expects that if she does for you that you will return the favor, even if you didn't ask her to do what she's done. And if you don't, then we see her get reversed. And so this month, or yeah, this whole month really, look for who plays this Queen of Cups in your life. And especially if you have a woman who is in your life, whether that's your intimate partner, your business partner, your mother, your sister, whoever, who is, or even a feminine side of yourself. We do have mother wound going on in here. If there's some part inside yourself that is really feeling left out, hurt, put upon, anything like that, reach out to that side of yourself, reach out to that woman, or get out of the way. It might be that you need to take the opportunity of the reverse death, which is a smaller transformation, but otherwise indicates pretty much all the same things, and let that go ahead and eclipse whomever whatever form of relationship you have with the reversed Queen of Cups. And at the end of that, you will find yourself, in the seat of power with that. In any case, this is just a light review of this. There's lots of information, and keep in mind, I am not an expert astrologer. I recommend that you definitely check in with other astrologers who are also watching this upcoming Mercury retrograde. In any case, this is just your brief overview in the beginning. If you liked this, or you would like further information about this Mercury retrograde just in general, I would be happy to make another video. Make sure that you check this one out, and then go ahead and look for either your sun sign or your rising sign in the following 12 videos that I'm going to do for each sign. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. This has been Madame Thanatas Tarot Astrology.